how have you had the time to run EV.com and be a student at Yale, like one of the top MBA programs in the country?
Well, it's definitely tough.
Hey Warenoticers, Shane here, and welcome to another video on the Warenotice Technology YouTube channel. If you're new here, definitely take a moment to consider subscribing so you don't miss out on all my other awesome technology videos about things like smartphones, smartwatches, tech accessories, computers, cases, tablets, and really just so much more. But today, folks, in this video, we have a very special guest here with me. We have Joel Lee, founder and CEO of EV.com. He's one of my classmates here at the Yale School of Management MBA program. We're actually both second years, so about to graduate in, what is it? I think like
A week.
A week? I mean, it's very, very close. I can't believe how fast this program went.
Exactly.
It's sad it's almost done, but we're actually have him here today to interview him to get his thoughts about the EV industry, his company, how he's liked the MBA program, just have a great, nice conversation with him. But anyway, folks, if I was gonna provide Joel's whole bio here, I'm sure I would be too humble for him because he has accomplished so much in his life so far. So Joel, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, thank you for having me, Shane. Well, I think I'm still working my way towards what I define, success or my goal. But it's definitely been like quite some years of work.
Yeah.
Just do a quick intro. My name is Joel. I'm CEO of EV.com. It's an online electric vehicle platform. For me personally, I was born in China, a city called Tianjin, and then moved to Canada with my family when I was I think 14 or 15 years old. Stayed there for almost 15 years, and this is actually my first time actually living in the US for I think almost 2 years. All time flies.
Well, yeah, welcome to America. We're obviously very happy to have you here. So I guess that can bring me to my first question. So obviously EV.com is a very international business, given, it's a website, it's an EV marketplace. How has that been for you running it in multiple different countries?
Well, the focus is actually in the US.
Okay.
But our engineering team is mostly located in Canada.
Okay.
We do have talents across the globe. I think that's one of the benefits of working as a remote company. We have access to a global talent pool, so that's definitely a plus. We want to expand to not just North America, but as well as Europe.
Okay.
Yeah, any country outside of China is in our target.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like Europe would be a great market for that because obviously Europe right now, they have a lot of incentives to get EVs on the road, correct? I know in the US we've had them previously, but what do you think is the most attractive market inside Europe? Just the EU in general, or is there any particular country?
I think, well, there's certainly some countries have pulled back in terms of their EV incentives. For example, Germany, they pulled that back. I think it was sometime last year, and they saw their EV sales decline by about 30%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Canada actually did that too. I think this was 2 months ago. They just ended the zero emissions incentive abruptly, and no one prepared for that. But I think we have reached to a point where we need electric cars that are practical enough for people to actually wanting to purchase and own without any government subsidies. We have to, as an industry, get built great product that is good enough for people to willing to buy, pay out of the pockets. I do think that we're heading towards there. We'll probably see in the coming, let's say, 2 to 3 years, a much more affordable models. Tesla, I heard, is producing their affordable models, and other manufacturers are also doing the same. When we have access to 20 to 30,000 electric vehicles, and that saves you gas, I think it will become the no-brainer to drive an electric rather than traditional gas cars.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. So I think you have a very unique position, obviously, as the person behind, an online EV marketplace to really understand the EV market in the US a lot. So I'm curious, what EV company do you think in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, do you think it's going to come out on top? Do you think it's going to be like a sole EV company such as Tesla, or do you think it'll be one of the traditional combustion engine automakers like maybe GM or Ford now that they're releasing EVs?
I used to think, this was back in 2-3 years ago, that traditional gas car manufacturers were going to be in trouble, big trouble. But seems like, they're catching up. They're making EVs. They're spending a lot of effort on R&D and building factories across the world too. I also think that the defining reason for people to actually wanting to own an electric vehicle is going to be autonomous capability.
Oh yeah.
So the first half of the race is going to be, electrification. The second half is definitely going to be, whether if the car could drive by itself. I think Tesla is, still going to be the leader in the industry, but other manufacturers are definitely catching up, especially like Chinese ones. Wow, they're the speed of which they're iterating their products is absolutely insane. Right? It was like 300% faster than like what a traditional car company would iterate.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, as you know, since we're MBA students, we have that international experience trip every year during spring break.
Yeah.
And a couple of my friends went on the IE international experience trip this year to China. And they came back and they said they visited a lot of EV manufacturers and they were just blown away. Like companies like BYD, companies like Xiaomi, which actually started out as a smartphone company.
Exactly.
That's where I first know Xiaomi from. And apparently these EVs are insanely impressive. And they were saying, I mean, they're not experts like you, these are just other students, that these EVs seemed way better than any they've seen in America. So I'm curious, what do you think is holding EV manufacturers here in the United States back? Or why do you think China apparently may be doing better in this space?
I think in general, the US is just so good at from 0 to 1, like innovating. But when it comes to building something from 1 to 100, the speed of scaling is definitely, China definitely has an advantage on that because of the vast amount of like population and also, also the cost of building factories here is just naturally higher. But with the latest tariff, I think that might change. Still uncertain on that. A lot of people have claimed, or a lot of companies have claimed that they're going to build factories in the US. But whether that's still, we still have to, wait a couple of years and see, because building a factory or building a supply chain, we're talking about, China spent, I think, at least a decade in building like a supply chain surrounding electric vehicles, right? So Tesla started in the US, they found the product market fit, and they built a factory in Shanghai. You know what, that's actually the very first wholly owned foreign automotive factory in China.
Really?
Yeah. There was GM, Toyota, everyone else had to do a joint partnership, 50-50 joint partnership.
Interesting.
With a Chinese company.
So how did Elon get that? And how did Tesla get that? Because I remember I read somewhere about that too. That sounds like a very special deal. Like, why did they give that to him?
Yeah, I should ask the exact same question to Robin, Robin Ren, who used to be the VP of worldwide sales at Tesla.
Okay.
So he said, Tesla was at the right time, and China, wanted someone to come in and actually push the market forward, push the supply chain forward. Tesla promised that they back then they were gonna, have localized supply chain. Of course, like China, the government of China definitely want this to happen in China. And I don't think people give enough credit to Tesla, Elon, and the people at Tesla what they did. Without them, I don't think there will be like an EV industry where we are today, or even like what's the the EV industry, like in China too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's very true. Obviously, Tesla, really broke the ground and made EVs cool. Because I remember when I was growing up, I'm a bit younger than you, people then at that point were talking about, like the Nissan Leaf or all those EVs that, aren't very cool. But then Tesla came to the market and everyone's like, wow, now I want an EV, because not only, kind of like you were touching on earlier, they've got the self-driving features, but they also have amazing technological features. Like they have all those software updates. They have like the whoopee cushions, the games. I think you can even watch Netflix inside them. So my question to you, given all those very cool tech features, why do you think traditional automakers like Ford and GM are falling behind on that side? Because, like for instance, the Cadillac Escalade, it has, a version of self-driving technology in it, even the gas one. But even their EVs, I believe the technology, like the actual consumer electronics inside, isn't nearly on par with Tesla. Like no one's doing it as good as they are. So why do you think other automakers are lagging behind so much?
I think electric vehicle is a completely different product.
Yeah.
You have to build a factory. Well, you have to build, like, first of all, like the batteries powering the car.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people got it wrong by building an electric car, by switching to electric. It's just about, okay, having a battery powering the car, and that's enough.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not the case. You really have to, I think Tesla set a great example in terms of building a computer on wheels. And traditional auto manufacturers did not have this capability of actually building high-tech computers.
Yeah.
A lot of the equipments inside the car actually came from suppliers, and it takes long cycles to actually iterate on them. That's why Xiaomi was able to build an EV so quickly and dominate the market just in what? When I think last time was in China was 2 years ago, and just in 2 years, they're selling tens of thousands every month. That's absolutely unheard of in the entire automotive industry. That definitely leveraged their expertise in building smartphones and dealing with software. It's about the software and hardware interoperability that's needed to build a great EV product.
So my question then is, do you think the U.S. should let Chinese EVs come into the U.S. because maybe it would incentivize more competition and American automakers would have to perform better? Or do you think it's better to continue to keep them out?
Well, I'm probably biased on this question because of course I want to see more EV adoption, because I do believe it's beneficial to the society, to the environment. It's just cleaner, right?
Yeah.
Electric vehicles, but if the government of U.S. allowed Chinese EVs to come into the U.S. tariff-free, I think a lot of the local manufacturers would have a super hard time, because we're talking about 15 to 20,000 USD electric vehicles that are highly equipped.
Yeah.
Just currently, just no manufacturers can compete with that in the US.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
So now that we've kind of covered the broader EV industry, I want to dive a bit deeper into specifically your firm. So, like I've said, I think 3 times it's an EV marketplace, but can you describe to us what makes it different than your competitors? What makes EV.com unique, and why should people use it?
I think, so just say a quick background of EV.com. So EV.com has been around for 31 years. It was first registered back in 1994. And the platform itself started off with covering EV-related news and data related. It's never been a marketplace until I acquired it 3 years ago and turned it, rebuild the platform, turn it into a marketplace. But you really want to build something that is tailor-made for electric vehicles. As we previously discussed, EVs are completely different products. We're talking about, we're not looking at miles per gallon. We're looking at now battery range, how fast do they degrade? What's the how long can they go in certain weather conditions? how do they maintain it? Like, how do I charge? There's so many questions surrounding, switching from gas cars to electric. And we really want to make that transition super smooth, right? I think in that way, like, we're helping to accelerate the transition towards zero emission mobility. And I think it's just easier to use, right? Like, you can just go onto EV.com, you can browse all the available electric vehicles in your area. You can also even custom order one and help you to compare between the latest electric vehicles, which one is better, compare the range. We're coming up with a lot of new features, like a community feature is going to be very fun. People's going to be sharing their ownership experience on EV.com.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think it's easier, super easy to use, and it'll take you from 0 to 1 when it comes to switching to electric.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I've got to say, too, I love the name. I feel like EV.com, I feel like every EV manufacturer, probably especially Tesla, would love that name. I mean, because it's literally just electricvehicle.com. So how much did that cost you to buy that domain? If you can say.
Yeah. I mean, it for sure, well, about 7 figures.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
7 figures. So,
I mean, I believe it. That's a really good domain name.
yeah. So,
Do you think it was worth it?
oh, absolutely. I think without the domain name, the business model would have a much harder time to actually sustain itself, because, like, we're building a marketplace, right? That we need enough supplies, we need enough partners on our platform, and we need enough buyers, right? So building that from scratch is actually very difficult. It's way more difficult than I thought it would be. That's with EV.com, perhaps the best IP in the entire electric vehicle industry. Yeah, it's helped, definitely for sure helped us a lot. We now have thousands of dealer partners in the US, just in, like, I think 15 or 16 months. So we've grown quite a lot. Like, we're signing up a lot of partners onto the platform. We're really trying to make EV.com the go-to platform for everything electric.
Yeah.
I think that's the goal, and we're getting there.
Yeah, and so another question I have too, you say you have thousands of dealer partners, and I saw you also have a lot of automotive partners, such as big names like Porsche. So what does it mean when an EV company or a traditional car company that also sells EVs like Porsche, what does that mean when they partner with you? So
we work with, I think, dozens of Porsche dealers in the US. I think a lot of manufacturers are just moving towards this. They're still, like, going, investing in electric vehicle related initiatives, because, China, the biggest car market in the world, has more than 50% of EV penetration. Like, every 10 cars sold in China, more than half are electric now.
Really?
Yeah. So it doesn't make sense to not invest in EVs at this point. So I think a lot of manufacturers have seen that and investing a lot in the EV and autonomous driving sector, which is great to see, because electric vehicles is just genuinely a better product for the automotive industry and for the society too.
Yeah, but that all sounds really great. So I guess, do you have any other goals for EV.com? Anything down the road besides just being, the go-to place to, look for EVs? Is there any, like, massive, crazy dream you have? Like, for Apple, obviously they started doing Macs, but then they released the iPhone, which was so innovative and blew everyone's minds. No one even knew they wanted it. Do you have something in the pipeline like that?
Yeah, we don't want to just, like, stop at electric vehicles. I think when it comes to EVs, it's a completely new ecosystem.
Yeah.
We're no longer talking about, filling up gas, doing, like, this traditional gas car maintenance, like oil change and etc. We're not talking about battery related analytics and battery repair, like predict battery, like degradation. and things, and also home energy too. When you switch to an EV, if you charge at home, I think most people do, you're going to see your electricity bill go up by roughly 50%.
But it's cheaper than gas though, isn't it?
Still. But, at the same time, like, if you adopt solar, home solar, that's going to, like with EVs, that's going to make your investments have a much better ROI. Because your EVs, if you had two EVs, you're consuming a lot of energy. Like having solar panels now makes a lot of sense. And also home charging will be able to help with that. We're working with a variety of partners to make the whole experience that can be achieved on one platform instead of multiple. Right? Starting from purchasing electric vehicles to like home energy, from home charging, solar panel, home energy storage, to all the way, into the life of the EV, trading in the vehicle, or have the battery recycled and reused. I think the entire ecosystem is just massive. We want to be the go-to platform for the entire ecosystem.
That's a lofty goal. How long do you think it'll take you to be the go-to platform for everything? Because solar, I mean, that's a whole nother space. And do you, I guess I'll put another question on that too. Do you think the average American is ready for solar? Because that's got to be a big investment to add that to your house.
Not really. I think California has like solid solar penetration. I think certain states of the U.S. I think it's mandatory to install solar on new built homes.
Really?
In California, yeah, it's mandatory.
No wonder it's so expensive to live there.
Yeah, I mean, gas are so expensive, right? So it makes sense for you to drive EV and also charge at home. I also think that's the future, right? I think every home in the future would have like a solar roof on top, because installing solar is going to be so cheap. Yeah. That it's only going to take a couple of years to make your investment back, or if you could do like lease programs with solar companies, that's going to match your electricity bill, so you're essentially not paying like out of your pocket. So there are a lot of great incentives too at local governments, certain states. I think in the future it will be a no-brainer too to have solar installed at home. Yeah,
no, I don't blame you. If money was no object, I would want solar on my home, because even if you're not super into the environment or you're scared of a big investment, I think one of the best things about that is then you're more self-sustained, right? Yeah. Because you're not dependent on the grid. And certain states like Texas, for instance, when they get hit by, I think it's either hurricanes or snow or something, their power grid often gets knocked out. And I know there, for instance, I think they shared some sort of recommendation that, EV users should only charge certain times of the day. So do you see solar as a good way to solve like some of the power grid problems we may have in the US?
Yeah, solar plus home battery. You have like a set of battery that stores energy during off-peak hours. And that can be used to power your appliances and your electric vehicle during peak hours when the grid is overloaded. I think that's the way to go. And when it comes to AI, we need to double our energy consumption. Well, energy consumption in the U.S. to power AI data centers. And upgrading grids is going to take quite a lot of funding and also time too.
Oh, for sure.
So having this like home energy, battery energy solution is the solution to this. So we're working with partners within this industry to build a platform on EV.com that can just help EV shoppers from taking them from 0 to 1.
No, that sounds awesome. Another thing I was wondering too, we were discussing before the interview, we both went to CES this year in Vegas. I had a great time. It's unfortunate we couldn't link up there, but there were like tens of thousands of people. So packed. Really cool. Was that your first CES, by the way?
No, I think it was my second.
Your second? Yeah. Okay. It was my first. So I brought my sister. She was my camera woman for it. And I told her, I'm like, we have to go every year now. I loved it so much. So one of my favorite things actually were EVs and autonomous vehicles. Like I went in the Zoox Robotaxi, for instance. They wouldn't let me like actually demo it and drive it around, but I sat in it, which was really cool. So I'm wondering, what is your favorite thing that you saw at CES 2025? I know it was a couple months ago, so it might be hard to remember, but if you can.
Well, it was definitely a lot of EVs. You know, I feel like CES, like this was the most recent CES, was like half of it was like more like a car show.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Right. But 5 years ago, that was not the case.
Uh-huh.
It was still like mostly other type of technologies.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see it. You can see the shift, right? Cars have become a technology piece. It's no longer gas powered. It's becoming electric powered, and it's becoming a technology product.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite EV that you saw? Maybe you're not allowed to say. Maybe that'll make some of your partners sad.
Well,
I won't press you, but.
I like a lot of EV brands. I do genuinely like them because they're trying very hard to compete and survive. This electric vehicle is not an easy industry.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of companies
so much
are
competition.
still losing money.
Yeah.
Even car giants like Ford, GM, they're still losing money on their EV sector. It's difficult to make money because batteries still quite expensive in North America, and manufacturing the car is still like expensive, and customers don't want to pay the premium to own an EV. So we're still at this stage of we have to lower the cost and make them more affordable. But seeing like companies like try super hard, I'm constantly on calls with a lot of the automotive executives from different car manufacturers, and they're really trying really hard to try to make this work, right, and offer affordable EV product to the global audience.
For sure. So Joel, I guess one final question then. So we've talked about the EV industry, we've talked about your company. Now I want to just focus in a bit more on you. So like we said at the start of this interview, we're both MBA students. So I know for me, it's a lot to manage without having like a company like you. There's the social part, there's the school, there's recruiting, looking for jobs. I guess you don't have to do that since you're obviously doing your startup after. But how have you had the time to run EV.com and be a student at Yale, like one of the top MBA programs in the country?
Well, it's definitely tough. I think, especially the first year when we had the core courses, I basically had to, work 16 hours a day consistently.
On EV.com or just in general?
In general.
Oh, wow.
Just to, especially in the beginning, right? Like we launched EV.com in the US back in November. It was November 2023, so this was our very first semester, and we started I was just super busy with hiring, building the product too, designing, working with our engineering team. It was truly tough, but when you build something that you're passionate about, you don't feel tired at all. You just like I was so into it. I was working like just 10 hours straight, and I didn't feel like tired at all. It was crazy.
That does sound crazy to me. Do you drink a lot of caffeine?
No,
Really?
I just drink water. I actually don't drink caffeine or any sort of no tea, no caffeine for me.
How is that possible? Because if you're working 16 hours a day, how many hours of sleep are you getting?
I try to have like 7 hours of sleep.
That's actually pretty decent, actually.
Yeah, I think working on EV.com is just so. My family was in coal mining, in the coal mining business when I was a child, and I saw the destruction it had to the environment, and working on EV.com, helping people to switch to electric, it feels like just paying my debt, right? In a way.
That's really fair.
Yeah. So and it's really something that I'm truly passionate about. So I really want to make it like a platform that could benefit people and the society.
That's amazing. Well, it sounds like you're on the right track, and like you said, we're like a week or two away from graduation, so coming close to being able to do that full time. But yeah, anyway, with that, we've been talking for, I think, over a half hour now. So this has been a great conversation, but let's wrap it up. So for everyone watching, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this interview here with Joel Lee. If you want to check out ev.com, I guess I'll put a link to it in the description, but I don't really have to. It's ev.com. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and subscribe for more awesome technology videos like this one. But anyway, folks, see you around in other videos. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.